YouTube Ozzick in the Goat House is back after Sunday's action, NFL Week 12, giving you my takeaways to all those games like we do every single Monday. We still got 2 games left this week. That's if the Ravens-Steelers happens on Tuesday. Hopefully it does. But if it does, our schedule changes a little bit. Obviously, some videos get pushed back, but we're gonna be all right. We're gonna be all right. Full NFL coverage here. If you're new, please subscribe. Even in the off season, we have you covered. Follow that Twitter. We got you covered during live games, every live game that is, and constant NFL talk on there. Follow that Instagram, podcast, Patreon, link in the description for all of those. Anything that you need there, you'll find the links down below. And you see below me here the Sided app. Go ahead, sign up. Download that. There's a couple links in the description and comments. You can debate football. We post some polls on there. You debate, and then you earn points and win Amazon gift cards. Pretty cool. Check it out. And then our Patreon link down below has a bunch of extra bonus content there. Junior score predictions, my bets of the week for NFL, college football, updated playoff predictions every single week, and a lot more. A lot of you showing your support already on there. Appreciate you very much. What the hell happened here? The Falcons beat the Raiders 43-6. 43-6. I mean, absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, I don't even know. I mean, first off, I mean, this was one of the better. This might have been the best defensive performance on the season, in the NFL season, by the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons. I mean, a complete game from this defense. Team effort. I mean, there's so many guys that stood out. I mean, Deion Jones got a touchdown. They forced so many turnovers. Derek Carr interception. Did he put the ball on the floor on the ground 3 times? The corner AJ Terrell's really getting better. He's locked down in coverage. I mean, the young secondary. I mean, everything looked ridiculous. Even getting the Michael Walker, the Fresno State rookie, who I actually liked as a sleeper, even getting him involved. They're getting everybody involved. Constant pressure. I mean, Grady Jarrett's a stud. He's always been a stud. I mean, what a defensive performance from the Falcons. I mean, this was ridiculous. The offense really didn't have to do much, and they scored 43 points. It just kept blowing my mind throughout this game. We knew the Falcons defense, it felt a little better over the last several weeks even. I think since maybe the Vikings game, the defense has been looking pretty good, and we expect it to be towards the bottom of the NFL. It ain't even anywhere close to that. It's playing ridiculous football, the defense of the Falcons. So, credit to them. Can't give enough credit to them there. They won this game. Just right when we were getting on the Derek Carr train, he goes and just has a meatball game, just turns the ball over a bunch of times. I did say in the beginning of the year, Derek Carr, I've said this in the past, Derek Carr, accurate quarterback, has that big playability, but if you get pressure on him, he's going to struggle. And we saw that in this game. Surprisingly, the Falcons were able to get pressure from everywhere, any spot, against a solid Raiders offensive line. If you get pressure on Derek Carr, some struggling is going to occur. He's a very, very good quarterback, actually, if he's kept clean. But if he's under pressure, it's a big difference. And we saw that in this game. So, I mean, not a good game from anybody. One bright spot, Henry Ruggs went up and caught a ball downfield. That was a 4th down shot. I think he had another drop, later in the game. Routine catch it should have been, but Josh Jacobs couldn't get anything going. They had a 4th down early. It was a crucial moment. 4th down early. It looked like he had it easy. They went outside and he hesitated a bit, kind of was patient. That's exactly what they teach you not to do. 4th down, 3rd down, goal line, any of that, you just go. You hit the hole, you hit the original hole, no matter what. So that was a big no from him there. Just a bad game from the Raiders. And my takeaway, though, besides the Falcons' defense improving every step of the way, looking pretty good without Quinn, who is supposed to be that, he hasn't been the head coach for some time now this year, but who's supposed to be that great defensive coach, pretty impressive. But another takeaway, I was starting to get hyped on the Raiders, starting to get hyped on Derek Carr, and they still are going to be good at times. But 43-6, you can't lose like this. You can't have one of these games. I mean, other borderline playoff teams don't have these games. They'll have bad games. They'll lose games here and there. I mean, the Jets don't even have these games, do they? I mean, this is bad. This is really bad. You can't have this pop up. And I know it's only one game, but it kind of shows your weaknesses, and it's on tape. It's on tape, So the tape is out here. Teams will try to game plan similar ways. This is bad. Bad news for the Raiders here. I'm sure they'll bounce back, for sure. But this I think gives us all some doubt here. Another thing is I think we're all guilty of giving the Raiders a good loss last week. There's no such thing as a good loss. A loss is a loss. There's going to be the L at the end of the day. No one's happy at the end of the day on that team. So maybe that factored in a little more that they're coming off a loss. But, yeah, I think too much of us thought more of the Raiders for losing last week's game. They had an impressive performance on offense last week. That was about it. So I think we're all guilty of that. Wow. Falcons looking like a tank team several weeks ago. Now they're winning some ball games. They're winning some ball games. See that they already played the Saints again coming up. That defense is scary. Bad day for Derek Carr and the Raiders. Real bad day. Offensive line surprisingly had a bad day as well. Can't get pressure. You see why they got Takk McKinley, why they're keeping him even though he's in the IR. We're seeing it. Moving on. Chargers, Bills. This was an annoying game to me. The back and forth turnovers it felt like the Bills could have put the game away, and I guess them turning it over, but then the Chargers turning it over. I think Herbert put the ball on the ground a couple times. He got away with getting it back, I believe. But then he had a bad interception late. Those still pop up kind of late, and those aren't really surprising. Kind of staring at his first read. Overall, he's been impressive this year, obviously, but those have popped up. Insisting on some throws. But then the Bills kind of it was annoying to me. I can't stand games like this. I don't know, just back and forth. I expect more from these offenses. That last interception by Josh Allen, just off the back foot, just almost like it was we're losing the game. It's fourth down. I got to throw it up, like one of those situations when it clearly was not the situation. That was bad. That was a really bad interception. Singletary had a fumble. Other than that, he actually ran pretty well. He's starting to get going there. I was annoyed by this game. And that we're not even at the most annoying part yet, but where I can give credit, Joey Bosa, it's good to see him playing healthy. He missed some time, but then when he was playing, he was hurt. You can see it, and now it looks like healthy in this game. At least it looked like it. He was a monster in this game. Getting the pressure, finishing, getting the sacks. He was all over the place. Love to see that from Joey Bosa. So that was an elite ball game from Joey Bosa. Big reason why the Bills had some offense struggles. Josh Allen really couldn't do a whole bunch. I guess that's the good thing, I suppose, though. We've had a lot of those games this year in general, not just the Bills or anything, but Josh Allen didn't really play his game, and they still won 27-17. The defense is getting better. So that's the positive, I guess, from the Bills. Singletary ran the ball pretty well, minus fumble. Those are the positives. A.J. Klein has been an absolute monster as well. The last several weeks, everywhere. That was a good sneaky pickup for the Bills. He's been everywhere. My God, blitzing, rangy sideline, sniffing out runs in the backfield, getting downhill. Man, he's been good. He's been really good. Secondary's been clutching up too. Tre'Davious White. I predicted this Bills defense to be one of the very best in football, and it was extremely disappointing going into the year. Or in the beginning of the year, I should say. Recently, they've been picking it up. They've been looking pretty damn good. So they had some good moments in this game. But back and forth, the turnover's pretty annoying. And then the Chargers get down there, have a chance to score a touchdown. And they had that Hail Mary or whatever, not a touchdown, but it was the Bills secondary isn't good on that. That went through a couple guys' hands. They almost assisted on that catch. And the Chargers go down there and run the ball. Bad. That's a bad idea, bad mistake. And then they have one more shot at it with 3 seconds left, and Herbert's in shotgun, and then runs up, takes the snap, QB sneak. Okay, the first part, bad call. They weren't even at the half-yard line or anything. It was goal line, but wasn't that close. Bad call in general. That's it. End of story there. But then let's back up a little bit to make things even worse and even more head-scratching. It was a QB sneak with the offensive lineman dropping back to pass protect. They drop back. I don't know if I've seen that one. I don't think I've seen that. So either this coaching staff is that bad or they're really going for the tank right now. It's that bad. So Bills stop them there. Credit to their defense. I mean, I don't understand that call. I don't understand why. It's annoying. It's annoying to me, a lot of the things that happened in this game. QB QB sneak when the guys are dropping in pass protection. You might as well run Herbert outside. You might as well run a read option or something at this point, an actual option. I don't know. Pass protection, I'm still just trying to figure that out. Like, was it trying to fool them, the defense? Like, we're going to drop these offensive linemen back, so they're thinking it's a pass while our quarterback's going to run. But remember, it takes time for the defense to recognize the offensive linemen are dropping. By that time, Herbert's already going right into the defenders because they're not being blocked forward. They're not being blocked, north and south. It's bad. I'm hoping that was a tank move because that is pathetic, absolutely pathetic. Bills get the win that they needed there. Giants, Bengals. I don't have a lot in this game. Daniel Jones got hurt. It sounds like it's worse than it actually is. That it looked, I guess. That's unfortunate. He tried to come back out. He's a tough dude. You even seen some runs. He puts his head down and tries to run. He tried to come back in the game after the injury, and it just wasn't working out. Hopefully that didn't actually make it worse. I don't know. But yeah, so maybe a game he'll miss, maybe 2. That's unfortunate because the Giants are in a battle to win their division, and they're actually sitting there in the driver's seat right now. So that's that sucks, I guess. I guess Colt McCoy needed to do got done what he needed to do, I suppose, got the win here. The Bengals had a special teams touchdown. They had a late touchdown that actually made some things interesting. But then the Giants step up, get a strip sack. Was it Sheard? Sheard got a sack at one point. I mean, the defense in general, the Giants was impressive in this game. The secondary has been locked down this year way better than expected. So the defensive performance with the Giants looked good. I thought if Daniel Jones didn't get hurt, they were gonna win the game much more comfortably there. Makes sense. Couple turnover. A couple turnover. Evan Ingram had that fumble. He was trying to fight for extra yards and I'm losing the ball. That was kind of just unfortunate there. Don't have a lot on this game. It was a must win for the Giants. They got it done, but at I guess on a negative day with Daniel Jones getting hurt there. The Bengals didn't expect much. Closer than we thought. They're probably a tanking team with Joe Burrow out anyways, so moving on. Titans, Colts. Try to tell people the Titans were going to win this game. I tried to. Colts fans let me have it for this one. And kind of what I said what was going to happen during the week, kind of a lot of things here. Going back to the first meeting. Derrick Henry was looking good in the first meeting. He was looking really good in that game. And for some reason, the Titans kind of stopped giving the ball unless it was second and long. That's ideal there. So the play calling in that game, which I usually love the Titans play calling, and still do. But in that game, they kind of just stopped themselves with Derrick Henry. Then they had those special teams mistakes. They were winning at that point, remember, to let the Colts pull away. Colts executed had a really good game that week. But there was a lot that said that, give Derrick Henry the ball again. Now DeForest Buckner is a really good defensive lineman. Get him out. That makes it even more. I guess that it's a little easier to run the ball. But he was running the ball well last time as well. Anyways, and the Titans were hitting shots downfield, A.J. Brown. So, I guess that didn't have too much to do with Buckner. Buckner can get pressure, but the Titans missing a lot of guys in this game as well last couple weeks, so hopefully they can get some guys back as well. But a dominant performance, 45 points. Getting Derrick Henry the ball, not making special teams mistakes. I think Gostowski even hit a 40-whatever yarder. I think he missed it, and they backed him up for a false start. It actually didn't count. You need to make it harder for him, apparently. Those things. And what I did mention during the week is the Colts are a team you want to play a second time. You want to see them again after you got the chance to game plan for them, because it was pretty simple things on how they beat you last time. They were playing small ball. They were getting Hines the ball underneath. That's what they were doing. That's how you beat the Titans defense. And now you saw so much of it without taking shots downfield that this is how we beat it. And they were actually playing tighter in coverage. The Colts came out, scored 14 points right away. It was looking bad, and then they tightened up. I don't think enough credit goes to the Titans defense for really adjusting there. They realized, okay, the Colts are trying to do the same thing they were doing last time. Let's tighten up. Let's stop them. Trey Burton was really the only one getting things going early. Let's keep an eye on him. They adjusted. That was pretty good. And then again, Derrick Henry. It's easy to tell that Derrick Henry was getting going last time. Let's get it going again. Full time this time, not just on second and long. That was stupidity last time. Another thing, what I've been talking about, the Colts best cover two, not the best defensive football. They're up there, the best cover two defensive football. I don't like cover two. This is a big reason. You can game plan for it a second time around. Teams would love to play cover two a second time around. It's very easy to game plan for, and that's what they're able to do. So the Colts are a team you want. If you're a solid team, you want to see a second time around. You have an easier shot on them. And the Titans showed it in this game. They're just the better team here. They're missing half the team, almost half. They had a lot of guys out. The star players aren't out, so that keeps them in the, except for Taylor Lewan, I guess. That keeps them in. But, we know they're the better offense. They showed that in this game. The defense actually stepped up because it's a little easier to game plan a second time around here. So that's a good performance for the Titans. Yeah, Phillip Rivers was actually fortunate he didn't have a pick six on him, too. Breon Borders dropped a easy pick six. Then ended up catching a tougher one later on. So, yeah, Rivers, and the Titans started blitzing him, too. That's another thing. The last time they're going to play small ball, let's blitz them, make them get the ball out quicker, and we'll cover that. We'll be tight on that. That's just how you beat this. So it's not too hard to game plan for the Titans. Credit to the coaching staff. Credit to both sides of the ball there. They really stepped up. They dominated this game. They dominated on the score, but I think they dominated a little more on the score. Some Colts players were dropping out during the game. I know Costanzo got hurt at one point. They were missing Buckner. So the Colts are a better team, full strength. I don't think that's why they lost this game, though. Again, the Titans were missing some guys. The Titans just dominated this game. Coaching both sides of the ball. Well executed. That's impressive. We saw the Titans down the stretch of last season, putting up points like this against good defenses. That's kind of what it reminded me of. So now they're kind of kicking into playoff time. So that's extremely impressive. The Colts don't really have the easiest schedule going forward, so they need to step up, not have one of these games here. Hopefully they get some guys back healthy for the Texans. The Texans are hot right now. They got to play them twice. That's a tough time to play the Texans twice because they're heating up. And again, it's tough for the Colts, I think, to beat teams twice here. Moving on, Panthers, Vikings, a wild game in this one. The Panthers they choked this game away. The Panthers couldn't do anything on offense, which is surprising. The Vikings defense has been weaker this year. They can't get pressure. They got 0 sacks in this game. They gave 31 points to the Cowboys. Panthers could not do anything on offense. I thought Teddy would have a much better game. He did not have the greatest game in this one. So really early, Kirk Cousins looking really good. Some of these throws on the run, cross body he was having. There was one that was the best one of the day from Kirk Cousins, went incomplete. I think it was to Bissy Johnson to the end zone. It was on the run across the body. Who is that guy? That was a ridiculous throw. Went incomplete. He had a couple of those, though, throughout the game that did go complete, but the best one, the most ridiculous-looking one was that one. And he was breaking tackles for first down, so Cousins was on his game to start. And the Vikings have a lead. It's kind of back and forth. The defense, surprisingly a defensive game, but I think it was more the Panthers' offensive mistakes rather than the Vikings' defense making good plays. Eric Kendricks had another week, another red zone interception for him. He's showing why he's one of the best middle linebackers in football, especially in coverage. So he's clutching up. The Panthers look like they're running the ball pretty well, but they were going away from the run. I don't really mind that, but Teddy's got to execute. But I do wish they would have ran the ball a little more at that time. You're only down 7-0. But then the Panthers are coming up clutch. They strip Cousins for a touchdown. Kerr, I think, gets to Cousins, strips him. Cousins having a really good game up to this point, but that ball can't come out that easy. It's not like, he didn't step into pressure. It was pretty quick, so that part's okay, but the ball coming out that easy is bad, and we've seen that from Cousins from time to time. Jeremy Chin, free scoop and score, touchdown for him. Vikings get the ball back. First play, Dalvin Cook runs. He's driving a pile. Ridiculous how he's driving this pile. And then it comes to a standstill, and I was surprised there was no whistle. And there was a ref kind of running in to stop the play, and then all of a sudden, Jeremy Chin takes the ball. He's gone for a touchdown. Has this ever happened in the NFL? Back-to-back plays, fumble for a touchdown. Jeremy Chin the same player gets both of them. The rookie there playing a linebacker and safety role for the Panthers, pretty impressive. Dalvin Cook, I thought he was hurt more than he was. Just looking at his face, what he was holding his leg. So, I guess it's debatable on if the play should have been blown dead. My problem was it looked like they were trying to blow it dead, but we can't hear a whistle. But then they were kind of talking about it afterwards. I'm glad they didn't overturn it. What happened live, I guess debatable, and I can argue what they should have done, but I'm glad they didn't overturn it because I don't think they're allowed to. And we've seen it during the year, and that kind of drives me nuts. I think the ref's kind of going again, are you allowed to review a whistle? So I'm glad they didn't overturn that. I don't know how I was watching a million games at once. I don't know how in depth they reviewed that or if they actually went to the booth at all. But I'm glad to see they stuck to the right rules, the protocol there of the refs, and didn't overturn that, because you can't review when you blew the whistle or not. Not that I know of. They did it earlier in the year. They changed the call off non-whistle blow and turned it into it was mind-blowing stuff. So that drives me nuts. But at this point, look like the Panthers are going to pull away, win this game. They're playing some pretty good defense at this point. Their momentum's going. I wish they would have moved the ball a little bit on offense. And the Vikings start rolling again. And Cousins starts hitting some of these throws again. Jefferson's getting open. Bissy Johnson's getting open. Cook's he's getting back in the game, getting some runs here. The Panthers did a pretty good job on Dalvin Cook for the most part. They're obviously well under 100 yards, so impressive there. And then the Vikings they step up on defense. The Panthers, almost said the Falcons, the Panthers move the ball to midfield pretty easily, a lot actually. It felt like they're moving to midfield pretty easily, and they can't execute after that. So they're going to punt to the Vikings. The Vikings are going to get a shot. Their offense is rolling right now. They're feeling it. So I'm thinking, the Vikings actually are probably going to get a last-second win here. And then the Vikings, new punt returner for the first time this week, Chad Beebe, just completely muffs the punt. Panthers get it. Where the Vikings have one timeout. There's 2:14-15 left. Worst time to muff a punt, literally worst time. Drains the energy, doesn't give your offense a chance, who's kind of rolling at this point. And again, 2:14-15 left, top of my head there, somewhere around there. I'm in the ballpark. One timeout, game's over. It's ball game. It's ball game after that point. And then the Panthers, so the Panthers just got to run the clock. But, if you want to just let's get a touchdown, you can throw the ball. So they do kind of do that. They don't run the clock, and then they want to throw the ball. And then Teddy missed a wide open DJ Moore, and he actually gets hurt on it because of the incompletion, and that forces the clock to stop, and the Panthers kick the field goal. And the Vikings end up having a blocked field goal in this game, which I've just remembered that end up being a big factor in this game. So the Panthers were in their driver's seat to win. You think after that muff punt, the game's over. The Vikings drive the field and get another touchdown, another good drive, game-winning drive by Kirk Cousins. And Panthers get the ball back. They got to start at their own end. Teddy kind of throws one up for grabs, and they end up coming down with it. And they're able to get another play, spike the ball, try a field goal attempt, and Sly shanks it big time. It wasn't the easiest field goal, but so the Panthers completely choked this game away. The game was, the Vikings almost choked it away at the end. But that was a wild one, absolute wild game. The Vikings come back and win that one. So something I'm not normally, I'm not used to seeing from the Vikings winning games like that. But that's a good win. The Cardinals lost, so that kind of helped them stay in the hunt. That Cowboys lost last week still got to be hurting a little bit. Speaking of the Cardinals, Patriots. Man, this is a game that makes me, stock down on the Cardinals. My thinking on the Cardinals, they can be a dangerous team. They are a pretty sneaky team. The good teams don't really want to deal with the Cardinals, but they're definitely less of a threat, now, seeing how you can game plan against them. Seeing their inconsistencies, their weaknesses. Weeks ago I was saying they're actually, even though they're at the top of the NFL in points per game, they're actually inconsistent on offense, and Cardinals fans gave me smack for it. But the Lions game, the Panthers game, within games, they kind of go cold on offense when they easily should be able to move the ball in this game as a whole. So you see what I'm saying now. This might have been Kyler Murray's worst game. This was a bad game from Kyler Murray, and it kind of wasn't really showing early. It's a terrible game from Cliff Kingsbury as well, and maybe the offensive line of the Cardinals, but it was, Murray just kept, the way what he was dealing with pressure, the way he was dealing with it was not good. He was just continuing to back up, chopping his feet too much. You can tell when things are going bad by his footwork. We've seen it on some interceptions. Sometimes it didn't cost the team. I think the first game against the Seahawks, you can see the footwork. By the footwork, something bad's going to happen. So he continues to do that. He's missing throws because of that. He actually completes one. I think it was a third down, a ridiculous throw. Arm talent kind of bailing out his footwork and his decision-making in his head. And then finally one, if it was going to happen at some point, he just backing up, chopping his feet, throwing off the back foot, ends up being too low because of his mechanics. Ball gets tipped in the air. Interception, crucial point in this game. So things like that. Kyler Murray he had a bad game. It's a really bad game. So he hurt them in a way. A lot of people are, Kingsbury, the offensive line, they hurt them in a way. Backing up earlier in the game, bad start for the Cardinals, but then they got a goal line stand that the Patriots had against the Cardinals offense. right before half. I don't really mind going for it. Kenyon Drake gets the ball. It almost looks like he could have been in. I guess it was debatable. It looked like maybe he was a hair short, perhaps. I guess debatable. Ends up being short. So I don't really mind going for it there. The field goal ends up being in the end. Hindsight, maybe you should have kicked it, but I mean, you're at the 1.5 yard line. I don't mind going for it there. You got to execute though. Another thing is, I kind of ripped Kingsbury during the year for kind of going away from the outside Kyler Murray runs. Patriots had a pretty good game plan. I think they were thinking too much. I worried about that during the week. I talked about don't outsmart yourself. You gotta keep running Murray outside. It's one of those things where you can game plan, but it's still hard to stop. And they ran him a little bit. Wasn't getting too many yards, but it wasn't like he was getting negative or not enough yards. So I'm disappointed in them going away from that. They were kind of strictly staying to the passing game, which wasn't working. For some reason, the Patriots had a dominant game plan for the passing game. Questionable play calling there. Patriots defense lockdown. Very, very good in coverage. And the Cardinals look like they're actually going to win this game here. Cam Newton finishes the game. He ends up having another interception, 2 interceptions, 84, at top of my head, 84 yards passing. You won the game with that. 84 yards passing, 2 interceptions, 0 touchdowns passing. They won the game with that. That shows how much the Cardinals messed up there. Bad game for, we talked about it, who had the bad games. Then they have a chance, a missed kick from Zane Gonzalez, which, it's not a guarantee kick, but you think he should hit that 42 or so yards. So misses the kick. Patriots have a shot, but the Cardinals really stepping up on defense, ends up being 3rd and 13. Kingsbury calls a timeout because, we're going to stop him here. We're going to get the ball back. It was bad. It was bad. You can understand deep down, I guess you can understand some thinking that it's 3rd and 13. I trust my defense. Cam hasn't thrown the ball more than this many yards all day, so he's only thrown for 84 yards all day, threw the ball to the wrong team 2 times. Understandable why you can trust your defense. You want the ball back, 50 seconds left. Maybe we can get a field goal. We've done it before. It is unlikely, though. Think about that. It's unlikely. Your quarterback hasn't played a great game. We've had an interception. That's where you got to think. Unlikely that we could even score, so why risk it? The Patriots, I think, might have they might have just let it roll as much as possible there. I kind of got the feeling that's what they're going to do. So you give the Patriots a shot. They actually convert the 3rd and 13, so a meltdown by Kingsbury calling the timeout, giving the Patriots a chance to come up with a better play, and a meltdown for the Cardinals not being able to come up, make that tackle, make that play, taking the right angles. And then Isaiah Simmons gets a 15-yard penalty. I disagree with the call. Very soft. But they got the first down anyways, but the 15-yarder adds on to it, an assist in the Patriots getting that field goal, as well as the defense, shutting down, letting them get the 13 yards, 14 yards, whatever they got. Kingsbury calling time. So a lot of things assisted in that, not just the 15-yarder. And then the Patriots win the game. So Cardinals are too inconsistent for my liking. Sneaky team, dangerous team. Kyler Murray's had a really good year. A lot of guys had a really good year on the team. Kingsbury's inconsistent. So I'm really coming down. I'm really, my stock's going down to Cardinals here. I thought they can actually make a run in the playoffs, and a run in the playoffs is about being consistent against the best. I don't think they can make a run. At this point, I don't think they can make a run. They can win a game, 2 maximum, maybe, the very maximum. So games like this, games like the last week they were underwhelming offensively against the Seahawks too. You got to do more. Games like the Lions, games like the Panthers, starting to add up a little bit. They got to be more consistent. So bad game. That's a big time win for the Patriots. Their defense set up big time and clutch in the end. Dolphins, Jets. Sam Darnold's back. 3 points. That's what happened here. Darnold, bad interception again. Flacco's able to get this team more points. It's pretty obvious at this point that Darnold's not even as good as Joe Flacco. So never been high on Darnold. Some people have stayed high on him for some reason. I know Gay sure doesn't help. But yeah, he's not it. Dolphins, pretty good performance defensively. Xavier Howard gets his hand on the ball once again, pretty much a free one. They did an excellent job blitzing. The blitzing of this team for Brian Flores, ridiculous. Sending linebackers, DBs. They got the Devontae Parker in a big game. Fitzpatrick was hitting up Gesicki. See, he likes Gesicki more than Tua does. Gesicki had a nice jump ball touchdown, sort of a Moss. It's in that category, in that range, I guess. Yeah, I think Frank Gore actually ran the ball decently. I mean, I guess that you can run the ball on the Dolphins, but they're still only able to get 3 points. That should open things up for the passing game, but they're weren't able to do that. Disappointing outing for Darnold and the Jets, but I think they probably want to lose at this point. So it's whatever. Not a game I'm not going to talk about a whole bunch. Dolphins get the win that they needed, a bounce back game. This game, a little annoyed with this game, I guess, with Baker, because Baker started off crazy good, I thought. So really early. On the run, throws on the run, cross body, looking pretty good, making smart plays, getting the ball out quick. Just firing downfield as well. Jarvis Landry in general had a great game. He was fantastic. But then, Baker started missing some wide open throws here and there, some wide open touchdowns actually. To tight ends, to Jarvis Landry, even though he had a big day. So he started to get cold a little bit. But then Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, mainly Chubb, had a pretty big day to keep them alive in this game. Mike Glennon actually played pretty well. Played well. Wasn't really pressured, credit to the Jags offensive line, but you see the difference with and without Myles Garrett there for how good he is for the Browns. Mike Glennon was actually hitting some throws. And then they were kept James Robinson flowing there, so they actually stayed in the game there. Tough one for whoever had the Browns -7, which I had as one of my locks of the week, because that was all wrapped up and the Jags were able to. Well, actually, I thought Kareem Hunt got a first down. They went for it on fourth. I thought he reached the ball over, got the first. They didn't call it a first. So that was tough if you had the Browns -7. The Jaguars drive the field. They have fourth down. The Browns stop them. A very soft roughing the passer call, which eventually led the Jags to scoring a touchdown there. And then they were going for 2. Tight coverage seals the deal. Sendejo makes a play. And the Browns win by 2. So the Jags actually had a chance to tie the game, and eventually, who knows what could have happened. Probably went to overtime. Would have went to overtime. Or the Browns had a shot, I suppose. But who knows what would have happened there. So a little scary of the Browns, but they're going to need Myles Garrett back. Baker's going to need to settle down. Now he has his moments, but he has his good moments. Got to just stick to those things. But yeah, Jarvis Landry had a ridiculous game. So the Jags actually looked a little better at Mike Glennon, but I think the Browns defense has been playing good, but I think it's a defense you actually can move the ball. I think they're not as good as maybe they've been looking, but credit to them for those games they had this year. They will be better at Myles Garrett back, but Browns they escape out of there with the win. They did control the game most of the time there, at least. The Saints and the Broncos, this game shows how tough it is to play quarterback in general, and let alone the NFL. Take a look at the numbers here. Taysom Hill, 9 for 16, 78 yards, 0 touchdowns, interceptions. So rough game for him. They still score 31 points. Rough game passing for him. So 78 yards, a touchdown, no touchdowns, interception passing, and they still score 31 points. Well, the Broncos had to play a receiver at quarterback, former quarterback, and then we see how tough it is to play quarterback in the NFL with things like this. He goes he got thrown in there. 1 for 9, 13 yards passing, 2 interceptions. So Saints didn't really have to do a whole bunch in this game. Surprised Freeman didn't throw the ball once. He had 50 yards rushing. Just a tough one for the Broncos. Really had no shot in this one. Saints defense once again was fantastic. Latavius Murray, he ran for 124 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was explosive down the middle of the field. That's impressive, too, because the Broncos, it's still a pretty solid defense. I know they're constantly on the field, but pretty solid defense. Kamara got going, pretty good average. Taysom Hill, how many touchdowns he rushed for? I think 2, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Ran for 44 yards, 2 touchdowns. So not much on this game. They didn't have to throw too much at all. Didn't have to be too successful throwing. They still won 31-3. And the defense got going once again. Cam Jordan, another game with a sack. Jenkins had a good game. Demario Davis, the usual, the expected here. Tough one for the Broncos that they had to play that. Unfortunate. Saints on a roll. They get to play the Falcons again. Falcons defense heating up. Next game, Niners, Rams. Niners turned the ball over 3 times. Rams turned the ball over 4 times. Niners they turned the ball over a lot. One less time than the Rams. They win by 3 points. There you have it. That's the ball game, pretty much. Rams just can't. McVay and the Rams have pretty good success against good teams like the Seahawks and the Cardinals. Not so much against the Niners. They can't beat the Niners. Last time the Niners solidified the run to start off the game, and that kind of threw off the Rams a bit. Both sides of the ball. Goff had a bad game. Garoppolo played good. That was last time. They didn't really solidify the run at this point. But Mullins was able to have a pretty good game throwing the ball. Deebo Samuel was an absolute menace for them. He's ridiculous. They just could not stop him. They couldn't tackle him, and that's a really good Rams defense. So that's kind of their kryptonite there. Deebo Samuel, guys like that. I love the defense still. Really love the defense. But, yeah, this story, what Jared Goff turned the ball over one too many times. One ended up for a touchdown. The Rams even got a defensive touchdown, so they did their job. Darrell Henderson couldn't really get anything going. Cam Akers, good to see him get going, though. He had a pretty good game. But Jared Goff turned the ball over too much. The Niners turned the ball over too much, still won the game, just because you can't turn the ball over 4 times to win. You only can turn the ball over 3 times and win. When the other team turns the ball over 4 times. That happens. So that's the story of this game. Some pretty good defensive play from both sides. The Niners get down there, get a field goal at the end of the game. Clutch by Mullins, clutch by Gould to hit the kick, of course. Deebo Samuel was kind of the story of that, the story of the game other than the turnovers. Richard Sherman, good to have him back. He comes away with an interception early in this game. It went from the Niners. Yeah, look like, the Niners are a problem for the Rams. They're going to win this game. Like, okay, here's the Rams. They're the better team. They're taking control now. They're leading, but then went back to the Niners. So, wild game. Rams, right when you start to kind of get on the Rams train, they blow it. They just can't be the Niners, apparently. Next game, the Chiefs and the Buccaneers. Weird one because Patrick Mahomes was close to breaking the single-game passing record. Dominant game for him. Tyreek Hill, an absolute electrifying game, dominant game. They only won by 3, though. A little odd, I guess, but they did have control of this game the whole way for the most part. It did get maybe a little interesting, but they did have control of the game and pulled it off in the end. I guess they got a little conservative. They were kind of not letting Mahomes throw the ball. But yeah, interesting how that ended. It should be, looking at the stat line, I guess that's why you can't pay attention to only the stats. But thought they could have made this a little more comfortable. Good for the Bucs, I guess, to get going at the end. That actually can give them some momentum. I did expect them to score. I did have the Chiefs winning by 3 points this game, but a little more scoring. So the Buccaneers should have been getting going early. They couldn't do it, but at least they got some momentum going. I guess that can give them a spark going forward. Brady seems like he's pissed off. So, he didn't really seem pissed off at the end of the last one. It kind of just seemed like sad, Now it seems like he's pissed off. So I guess that's something going forward. Ronald Jones looked like one of the best backs in football in this game. And he's had those moments throughout the year, too. So that was good. That touchdown that he had, that was on a pass, actually. The speed after the catch, the quickness, ridiculous. I didn't think, that looked like USC Ronald Jones, who I was pretty high on. So that was great. And then has that short hurdle. Very athletic play, stay in bounds, great bounce. That was a ridiculous play. He had some good plays in this game. Promising young running back there. Way better than Fournette. We see that. But the Bucs start getting some things going. Brady had some interceptions, throughout this game. Late, he was getting better, though, obviously. But the Chiefs, Spagnuolo, really good defensive coordinator. You see he's able to switch things up to game plan for what's beating Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. The Chiefs don't have their defense is sneaky good at times, actually. Because they got some really, they got some studs. They got a good coordinator. But they're not as good as, the Rams, who made the Buccaneers struggle, because the Rams defense, the Saints defense, the Bears defense, they're not quite on those teams' level right now. But they see what those teams are doing to throw off Tom Brady, getting more of a split safety look in the back end, some disguised coverages. And the Chiefs don't really normally do that. They usually have Tyrann Mathieu in the box or in the slot. And they did do some more of that, but they actually had more of the split safety looks. So my point is they were able to game plan for what's working, which really shouldn't be that hard, but I guess looking at most of the defense coordinators, it looks like it's pretty hard because some coaches are too stubborn. But Spagnuolo, I think a well-coached game defensively. Credit to him. Credit to a lot of these guys making the plays there for the Chiefs. Breeland's interception was actually really good. If you look at it once, you may say, well, Brady just threw it way too short. It was pretty much a punt return in a way for Breeland, and that's kind of true, but. The coverage was great in general. Riding the hip, tight coverage, able to get the head around, make a play on the ball at the perfect time. I just thought that was impressive. I think Breeland's he'll get beat here and there. Played a lot of man coverage, so a lot of guys would, but I think he's a pretty underrated corner. I actually like him, a bit here for his play. He can come up and hit you as well. Patrick Mahomes, sensational game. Tyreek Hill, we talked about it. Patrick Mahomes already, doing crazy. It's already happened, but going for that single game record. Pretty ridiculous what he's able to do. Tyreek Hill, I think the last Tyreek Hill touchdown, he just fit it in perfectly. I mean, it's an absolute perfect ball. Defender was there to make a play, but couldn't because the velocity and the placement in the ball is just ridiculous. So, but we already knew all this stuff. But earlier in the game, it looked like it was going to get out of hand. It looked like it was about to be 24-0. And Shaq Barrett gets a strip sack, I believe it was, that kind of boosted the Bucs. So if it wasn't for that, this game would have been much uglier. So credit there, even though they still lost the game. But yeah, kind of going back. I talked about Spagnuolo coming up with the right game plan, the right coverage, the right defensive formations. Todd Bowles, opposite. They're running a lot of man coverage, which is a no against the Chiefs. Teams that are only good at man coverage or so stubborn to go away from it, they'll get beat by the Chiefs. They'll get beat badly by the Chiefs because that's their game. The Buccaneers, it's really not their game. They run a bunch. They run a bunch of different. They have a variety. So you think the Bucs would be okay against them? They're still going to give up some points, but okay against them. And they're strictly going man coverage early. That's even worse to do it early to give them some free points, some free shots, maybe to throw them off later, start with zone, then go to man, making Mahomes think that you're in zone. That would have been a little better. I don't know if I would even recommend that, but if anything, but start off with, man coverage. And then, you do have some safety, Mike Edwards and Winfield that are better in the box, but they can play, mainly Winfield can play in the back end. So I understand you do have, your safeties are more, even Whitehead, they're more, they're better in the box, so I understand that. But having man coverage and no safeties in the back end, very confusing. I think around the Packers game, we were giving Bowles a lot of credit for that game plan. It was great. It was great. He had some good games, but he's really kind of, went down in his coaching and his game plans, and I guess stock in my mind, he's kind of went down a little bit since then. Not the best. You got some playmakers out there, not the best decisions out of Bowles there. So especially against the Chiefs, when one of those things where it's coming and you still can't beat it, but at least you should know not to go maybe the worst case scenario there with the man coverage, no safety help, multiple times early in the game. Pretty bad. This not the best Sunday night game. The best game for the good game for the Packers, 41-25. So not close, and it was even a bigger win than that, I thought. Bounce back win for the Packers. They lost because they turned the ball over too much last week, and they fixed that this week. They come out playing hard. Aaron Jones having a pretty good game with Akeem Hicks out, but still some explosive runs for him. Aaron Rodgers making some plays. They're converting third down, fourth down. Really good play designs. Rodgers throwing the ball on the run. Making plays. And then Trubisky kind of gets back in the mix, and obviously not a good outing for him. I would imagine if Foles was hurt, if he's healthy, I would imagine they would go back to Foles. We'll see, though. We never know with them. But I would think after this one. So then the Packers kind of get in a pretty good lead. Bears can't do too much on offense, but they're still in the game. And then we see an interception in a double coverage, and what that led to the Packers kind of having that. Almost, I want to say the dagger because it's still early in the game. It's still kind of early, but it really felt like that killer drive off the interception. Then they kind of roll down the field, run the clock, and score. They get up. So that one hurt. It had to hurt the Bears a bit, but it's still somewhat early in the game. And then Trubisky strip sacked. Preston Smith, I think it was, picked it up for a touchdown. So that was the dagger at this point. But kind of going in this game, people had a little bit of hope for Trubisky. Some more than others, I guess. But and really the reasoning, I was kind of talking about this, arguing with the other guys too. The reasoning was, well, we're getting pressured a lot. Trubisky can run against pressure. And I'm like, he's more athletic than Nick Foles, but does that mean it's a totally different game, facing pressure? And I know he can use his legs a little bit. We've seen him, I think he had one run in this game, but and it confused me how, people thought it was that much of a difference because handling pressure doesn't really have to do with athleticism at all. Athleticism helps, and we saw that on the strip sack. He drops back, the pressure's coming in. The second he sees the pressure coming in straight for him, he goes into it. He goes right into it and fumbles the ball. He did get grabbed across. They missed a call there, but that was not the reason why. It's still he saw the pressure. He stepped into. I don't think I've seen Foles step into pressure. He just could not escape it. I don't know if he once stepped into pressure. He steps into pressure, lose the ball, touchdown. That's the game. So off of his interception, off of his mistake on stepping into pressure for a strip sack, that made the game get out of hand. The Packers would have won anyways because they were rolling on offense, obviously. So that was the mistakes. And we see things, we saw that pop up in the past. How many times we've seen Trubisky stepping into pressure, but mainly my big problem with him was only going to your one read, only being a one read quarterback. We've seen that pop up with the first interception, seen it pop up with the second one, throws into triple coverage. There he ended up having another sack in this game where he, I think people expected him to escape these things, but just because of his athleticism, which I think he hasn't really been using since he's been hurt anyways. But yeah, just not being able to handle pressure. It was not. I know he's been out for a bit and he's had his injury, so that makes it a lot tougher, but that was a nightmare game for him. Packers executing on both sides of the ball, getting pressure when they needed to. I don't know if they got a ton of pressure, but when they needed to, making the Bears one-dimensional, being able to run the ball. So the Packers stepped up. They're the most dominant team in the NFC North. It's really not even close. The Vikings upset them one week, and I guess head-to-head they could beat them, but the Packers are the much better team. It's not a good division, and the Packers are a very good team, and they're dominating that division once again. So that was a must-win for them to pretty much solidify that division, obviously. So dominant game for them. We'll see what the Bears do. They got the Lions this week. Two teams that are really struggling. The Lions just fired Matt Patricia, so maybe that'll get them going, but they might be in tank mode at this point, so I don't know. Bears are still in the hunt because the NFC is pretty weak. They're still in the hunt. Vikings, Bears, the Niners are coming. The Falcons are starting to win, but they might be, I don't know how realistic that is. Cardinals lost, so that kind of helps. So the Bears are still in the hunt. They just got to figure some things out. They got to get some offense going. Either they don't have offense and are turning over the ball to allow the other offense to score, and it makes it a lot harder on their defense. Defense did not play good. Not the best coach game from Pagano, but they weren't really put in the best situations there, obviously, once again. Something new there. So no matter the quarterback, they're still going to struggle. They almost need a whole offensive revamp. That might include the staff. I've kind of been saying that. I thought Allen Robinson played a pretty good game. And Montgomery played it. Yeah, he got them down there. I think their points came from Montgomery kind of getting them down there, which I think they could. I wish they would have used them a little more, but they were down trying to come back. So, but I guess that's the good thing. Good things from the Bears there. The only positives, but see what they can do against the Lions this week. The Packers. I already said it. They're in control of that division easily. I think they got it locked up. But is that it? That's going to do it for the recap, the takeaways from this week's action for the NFL. Week 12 it was. So we got quite a few weeks left, and we got the playoffs. We'll have you covered for all that. We're back with this video every single Monday. Please smash that like button if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe, turn notifications on so you don't miss a thing. We had a live stream, first live stream in a while. We had a lot of fun with that last Friday. We'll do it again sometime, so turn notifications on. That'll help it out. But it's gonna do it. It's gonna do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.